In 2022, a pair of former ball players and a talented young broadcaster were tasked with creating a college football podcast. These men promptly escaped into the mountains of West Virginia and got to work. If you want top-level football analysis, off-topic stories, and locker room humor, you're in the right place. You are In the Gun.
In the Gun, episode 29. It's the Oklahoma State preview episode here. Thanksgiving week across the country. Plenty to get into, plenty to digest here on this episode of ITG as Owen is starting the festivities early. If you are watching right now on YouTube, this episode of ITG brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. Folks, basketball is back. The World Cup is here. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup information, player news, and game trends at BetOnline. And as your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet your favorite sports and events, whether it's the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, MMA, World Cup, tennis, college sports, boxing, and even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE when you sign up to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV at BetOnline, where the game starts. Owen, those beers going down nice and smooth there, cousin.
BetOnline, baby, where the game starts. I'm in the game.
He didn't lose a bet. That was all on him.
Well, you know, it's funny there, Jed, as Owen says, I'm in the game. Well, that used to be the tagline for EA Sports. And
that's right.
We all know Owen was once on the cover of an EA Sports game. Of course, that being college football. EA Sports. It's in the game. Well, for our headlines here, a devastating one for everybody out there who plays video games. This summer, July of 2023, was supposed to mark the return of the beloved NCAA football. EA Sports announcing this morning, well, I guess technically Tuesday morning, it's Tuesday night as we record this, that NCAA football, that they're going to give it another year. They're going to be delaying the return another year. I'm torn on this because obviously I was excited to spend the entire month of July playing, NCAA football and winning 7 straight national championships with the Mountaineers, and then picking some random school like picking some random school like Utah State and turning them into, Alabama or something. But on the other side, I do realize, hey, I'd rather have them get it right than just rush the game out there and have it, the gameplay be bad and a bunch of glitches and stuff like that. But Big O, we're going to have to wait an extra summer for the return of the game that you once graced the cover of.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. I'm thinking the gameplay is probably there. I think it's more NIL deal.
Ooh.
I think it's how are they going to
pay the players?
Because in the pros, Madden would always send a Madden check. When I was playing, it was like a $10,000 check or whatever. It was like 9,000 something and some change, but they would send every player. So I'm thinking that's kind of the reason maybe the release is pushed back a year, because they're trying to figure out the litigation, how that's going to go. I know before they didn't use player names.
Right.
Maybe they are now, and that's why. So who knows, man? But I'm excited because, in my opinion, I'd rather play NCAA versus Madden all day.
Me too.
Yeah, remember, you'd have to get in and edit the name. You'd have to change Jakorski to Schmitt. You'd have to type it in there, right? But
FB 35.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I want to bet you're right, because, stop and think about it. Could it really be the gameplay at a time in the history of this country where the market is now more flooded with unemployed coders than it's ever been, right? Yeah. All those folks are looking for a job, right? So it's not like they can't get the gameplay side
Just
of it.
Go wait outside of Twitter HQ and hire some people.
Right. They're trying to coordinate contracts and get that lined up just so.
Yeah, and
does standpoint.
Does Bryce Young get the same check that the 90th man on WVU's roster gets?
Yeah.
And that'll be interesting. But yeah, no fireworks in July in terms of the NCAA football release. You'll have to wait until 2024. What are you gonna do? Like Tony Soprano would say, what are you gonna do?
I'll tell you what, you'll sleep better in July.
We're gonna wait.
We're gonna wait. That's exactly. You know what, Owen? You're right. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna wait. Instead of 6 or 7 months here, we'll wait 18, 19 months. What are you gonna do? A reminder before we go to our first break here, we're gonna catch up with our buddy Big Daddy on the other side, talk some WVU Thanksgiving football memories. But speaking of Thanksgiving, folks, Black Friday right around the corner, of course, November 25th. And on Black Friday, on our website, you see Owen right now. See, folks, you got to be watching this on YouTube, all right? Because Owen, he's shotgunning beers to start the episode. He's also got on the ITG football cap right now. BOGO on Black Friday. You buy one item, you get another item for free, that item for free. So you buy one hat, you're getting 2. You buy one hoodie, you're getting 2. You buy 2 polos, you're getting 4. You buy 4 shirts for your family, you're getting 8. Buy one, get one free. All of our merchandise on Black Friday. That, of course, itgfootball.com. Just click on the shop link, and all brought to you by our friends at High Street Print Shop.
Not half off. BOGO.
BOGO. Buy one.
Let the shopping begin.
Get one. Trucker hats, dad hats, hoodies, polos, shirts, long sleeve shirts. We got Be-An-Ear, Tell-An-Ear shirts. We got Schmitt Happens shirts, a whole bunch of good stuff on there. Again, itgfootball.com. Just click on the shop icon right at the top of the page. That is where you will find that. That is all day Friday, our BOGO sale. It's our gift to you on this upcoming Black Friday, and to maybe help you kickstart some Christmas and holiday shopping here a little early. We're going to get to our first break. When we come back, it'll be a Thanksgiving roundtable with our buddy Big Daddy Sean Merinar. Plenty to get to here on the OSU preview episode, the Thanksgiving episode. It's all happening here. You are in the gun.
I'm talking with J.R. Toothman of Toothman Ford. J.R., everybody knows a lot of pro athletes buy from you. What's the secret?
Just like Will Greer, future Hall of Famer Frank Gore, James Washington, and many more pros, these guys have financial advisors that are always looking out for them to save time and money, and that's why they always shop at Toothman Ford.
And what if you're like us regular folks that don't have people giving us advice?
You don't need a financial advisor. Toothman Ford will save you time and money no matter who you are. Plus, we'll buy your car even if you don't buy from us. Visit toothmanford.com and get a quick, instant cash offer.
That sounds like a score to me.
That's right. And as always, we'll take anything in trade from chicken wings to Super Bowl rings.
Toothman Ford's got a lot of fans. Here's another one, Dallas Cowboys QB Will Greer.
This is Will Greer, former West Virginia and current NFL quarterback. And cars really do cost less in Grafton at Toothman Ford.
That's a fact, Will. Thanks. You can shop online anytime at toothmanford.com.
Let's go, Mountaineer fans. You're tuned in to In the Gun with Wes, the Runaway Beer Truck, and the Signal Caller.
It's time for a Thanksgiving roundtable here on ITG as Owen has continued the festivities. I mean, this guy is he's housing beers like it's a second plate on Thursday afternoon. I tell you what, fantastic stuff. You got to make sure you're watching along on YouTube. We'll keep count. I think this is number 4 now already. I mean, we're like 7 minutes into this thing. Listen, folks, for some guys out there, for some guys and gals, for some people, it's like a facade that they put up. It's like a persona, right? And then you actually meet them and they're not like that at all. That's not Owen Schmitt. He's the same person. He's exactly how you think he would be. He's just a good old boy having some fun here as we record on a Tuesday night, getting ready for Thanksgiving.
He doesn't even realize the camera's on.
He might not realize the camera's on. He just thinks
We're
his house
lucky
and
it is.
Maddie's by
Oh, and
himself.
I love that the filter on your camera when you walk away just looks how I would imagine you are seeing everything right now.
Well, and in Owen's defense, he is celebrating, guys. I don't know if you realize this, but tell him, Owen, it's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
So cause for celebration. It's Tuesday.
Why not?
Yeah,
I made it to Tuesday, baby.
All right, here we go.
I thought Owen was just trying to preserve his sanity before he gets to what I'm sure is the craziest part of the work year for UPS here over these next couple weeks.
It's about to be nuts. I mean, and hey, we made it through the season. You know what I mean? We made it through the season. This is the last game. Can't hold anything back. You know what I mean? We're still fighting. We're still scrapping. We're still here.
That's right. That's
Owen,
right.
how many violations are you about to hand out?
Hey,
like,
listen, we've changed our madness at UPS, right? Now it's head, heart, and hands.
Oh, okay.
This is the softer, more productive on feelings UPS.
Okay. So we don't worry about 3 points of contact anymore, eh?
We still worry about it, but it's more of a listen,
hey,
Teddy.
guys.
Listen, Teddy. You have to work safe on and off the vehicle, okay? If you're not working, little Jimmy won't get his Christmas presents because you won't be making any money.
Oh, I know, Sean.
Use
UPS.
3 points of contact.
This is what Owen lives for.
UPS was nothing until that Tom Hanks movie.
Oh, 100%.
This guy, that's a damn FedEx movie, dude.
You want to get him going, say that.
That joke never gets old. That joke never gets. I mean, I tell you what,
Trigger.
it works.
He's going to chunk another one down, Jed. I hope you're happy.
Works every time. All
Love
right,
Tom
here
Hanks
we go.
at UPS.
Jed, I'm just tired of Jed, man. I mean, the whole damn. Listen, Tom Hanks, you're a fool for working for FedEx.
Owen's got a shotgun. Owen's got a shotgun.
I can't believe Tom Hanks works for FedEx, anyways.
That's why I thought, like, Jed, I thought that's what you're meaning. Like, this is an ad for why you should choose UPS. They don't leave their drivers on an island for.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
How funny would it have been instead of FedEx packages from the crashed plane, somehow UPS packages came floating up on the shore. But,
well, he would have got home a lot sooner if they were.
Listen to him.
He wouldn't have been talking to.
We've had the same conversation 20 times every time
Wilson?
I say it.
Right? Wasn't that his volleyball's name?
Yeah.
Wilson?
Of course.
Wilson. Yeah, sure was.
He would have had. I mean, Owen would have had him picked up after a couple hours. No problem. He'd been home in time for supper.
I would have had GPS tracking on it. I would have said, "Oh man, this guy's over Bermuda Triangle. We got to go pick him up."
But I take it back. I spoke incorrectly. Spalding was the name of his dentist back home, wasn't it? I think it was Wilson was the ball. So I think.
No, yeah, Wilson was the volleyball.
Yeah, and I think Spalding. He told Wilson. He said, "You know the funny thing, Spalding.
This one's for Hank, man."
Down in one, down in one, down in one. I mean,
tell me you don't see him pulling up to save Tom Hanks on a fan boat rather than like an actual ocean vessel.
You know what?
Like he's going by you,
like a little pontoon.
Yeah.
Like he's got a little pontoon boat with.
He's on the Waterboy fan boat. We got to get to the Mud Dogs,
dude.
The Bourbon Bowl.
Okay. For those of us,
you remember that one time when Bobby Boucher won?
For those of you still listening,
he's spitting the cooler.
All right.
We're all over the place. How many
derailed hard?
How many different pop culture references can we make here in a 3-minute span?
Try me.
I don't even want to know how many Merinar.
Try me.
Owen and I will sit here and listen to Sean and Jed talk about the latest Star Wars episode for 7 hours before we wake up tomorrow morning.
Don't worry about it.
Abruptly.
When he watches it, we'll be having that 7-hour conversation.
You know it. That's a special episode.
Yes.
Well, gentlemen, it's a special week across college football. It's rivalry week. It's Thanksgiving weekend. It doesn't quite have the same luster, since conference realignment stole some of these rivalries, but there's certainly a lot of Thanksgiving weekend memories. Thanksgiving Day, Black Friday, Thanksgiving weekend, memories as it relates to WVU football over the years here. Let's go with our guest first, right? Yeah. Because that's what, when you were growing up and you'd have friends over to the house, right? Your guest goes first. You got to do what your friend wants to do. So Sean, Big Daddy, I mean, there's a lot of these that we'll discuss, but when I say, WVU football and Thanksgiving weekend, first thing that pops into your mind.
Coldest game I've ever worked at in my life that we've talked about this multiple times, the Pitt game. 05, correct?
Is that the Adai pick six to really put it over the top? Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Unreal.
That was Black Friday, I believe, right?
Yep.
I believe
got
that
to
was
cover it. Place was a ghost town. Erin Andrews was handing out frozen pies on the sideline because she was sideline reporting that game. Got mad at us.
Man.
We asked her what kind of pie it was because she thought, Tubby Tubkins was going to take it from her.
Erin Andrews.
He's going to chug another one. Get ready.
Hey, I got to tell a funny story about Erin Andrews. Okay, so somebody on Twitter, when I said ask away, one of the tweets was, hey, so how many times did Pat stuff Erin Andrews?
Wait, hold on. Which Pat?
Off camera.
Yeah. Oh man, which Pat? He said.
Moving on.
Which Pat? We got multiple Pats here. For clarity, for journalistic integrity.
Pat Narduzzi. Moving on.
Hey.
05. Yeah, that was cool. That was a cold one. That was Owen's first introduction to the brawl, I do believe. Close game in the first half, and then we just absolutely ran away with it.
Wore him out.
Yeah.
Wore
them boys out. Owen and his arch nemesis HP Blades out there just getting the business in a cold game. He didn't want any by the third quarter, I tell you what.
Horatio Benedict, yeah.
Oh, and that's a good one. You had some crazy Thanksgiving-ish, weekend games. Owen, Black Friday weekend. You had that big win over Pitt, then the tough loss to USF, and then the huge win over UConn, of course, where you famously went into the band and banged a drum there at the end. What stands out from you from those three games? Any one particular moment or a couple that are still pretty vivid in your mind?
Well, like Sean was saying, obviously the weather in the 05 game. I couldn't remember the score of the 2006 game, but I knew, like we've talked about in recent casts, UCF just had our number, man. Always played us tough, always played us man. Basically said, we're going to play our athletes versus your athletes. So let's see what you got. We never really had that kind of deep threat. We did have, damn it, what's his name?
Brandon Miles.
Yeah.
No, not Miles.
Rayshawn Bolton.
No, tall guy, Wes
Lyons.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wes Lyons, right? Who big guy. Actually, I think he played a couple years in Pitt. I think he played a year or two with Pittsburgh. I think he got a tryout or something. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyways, he writes child's books now, so he did write a child's book. Did some things there.
That's
but
right. I forgot about the child's book.
Yes, he's in doing that thing. Author.
06 Thanksgiving. That South Florida game, Owen. You remember when Rod Smith, our boy Rod Smith, was the co-coordinator for the Bulls in that game. That was the George Selvey scooped that fumble up.
Yep.
And that was just that was a big win for Rod, But,
and everybody that might think, how USF has been as of late, dude. Back then, it was Miami, Florida State, Florida, and then USF, because all the athletes that didn't go to Miami, Florida State, or Florida went to USF.
We ascended to number 2 in the country.
It's funny you just said that, because we were just talking about the recap. Dion in talks with USF, and in my opinion, I think that would be a great spot for him to go. No one's really ever truly been able to, elevate that to a championship team. And I think there's just so much talent around that area. I think somebody like him, who's obviously a great motivator, I think he's up for Coach of the Year. I think that would be a good place for him to kind of land. It's in Florida, his kind of like stomping grounds. He'd be able to really dive in and grab all that talent that's just hanging out around there.
Let me ask you, Owen. Speaking of teams that used to be something they no longer are, right? UConn was all right, okay? That UConn team that you guys bent over your knee, all right?
Woo.
That UConn team, 66-21, they entered that game with the number 3 scoring defense in the country.
That was basically the conference championship game.
Yeah. What do you remember about that game?
Man, wild atmosphere. And legit, we opened up a can, son. I mean, it was an absolute. It was supposed. I mean, they said it was supposed to be a close game, and we blew the doors off of them.
If I had to itemize the 5 most complete games, or let's say the 3 most complete games for the balance of 60 minutes this century by a West Virginia football team, most complete, all 3 phases for all 4 quarters, that's on that list.
Oh, absolutely.
That was a pretty good. That wasn't the UConn we now know.
No,
again, that was a decent UConn team when they
like
still had big prizes to play for and brought in good recruits they sent to the NFL, the Donald Browns of the world. But yeah, that was like I said, that defense, they overachieved. They were well coached. Edsel was coaching them well then.
Yep.
Number 3 in the country in scoring defense coming in. You dropped a 66 spot on
in the year. No, it was late in the year. And like I said, that was supposed to be like the quote unquote conference championship game in the Big East, and we laid a licking on them. You know, I think back to that time, and I know obviously it probably doesn't compare to the Big 12 now, but at that time, the Big East, when we were in that league, and we did dominate, you know, at least for the years that I was there, it was good football. There was some really good teams. You know, if Syracuse would have been the Syracuse they are now playing back then, man, that's major added value. They weren't though, but I mean, we had some good teams in that league, and some of those people have still. I mean, like a team like Louisville, they're still competing. You know what I mean? Obviously, in my opinion, they've gone down a level as far as the competition they play on a regular basis versus where we went to the Big 12. But it was good football back then, you know what I mean? And Thanksgiving memories, if I can say it, before there's a new complex right by the like where the pit was, basically all that stuff that's there. So there was an old hotel there. It was like a motel. And I can't remember what it was called, but this thing, listen, I've stayed in a lot of grimy, a lot of dingy.
Oh, and I can tell you, it was called the Mountaineer Motel. The reason I remember that, during 2-a-days when I played at WVU, that's where we stayed.
I want to say it was called, was it still called that?
It was when we stayed there in the early 90s.
Anyways, we know where it's at, where it was located. Okay. When it was Thanksgiving, that's where you stayed, right? Oh man, because I was in the dorms. So if you had a house off campus, you stayed there. But like I was in the dorms at that time, so that's where I stayed. And I remember, I just remember it was
greasy.
Like,
it was greasy.
I was like, this is a downgrade from the dorms, man. Like, golly.
Can I go back to Towers, please?
I know.
I remember staying with Keith. You remember Keith Taparowski, probably not special teams guy, unless teams in the early 90s. He was a Boston kid. Taparowski and I stayed, and we were roommates. And I just remember you couldn't get any sleep. I remember one night we were trying to watch Planet of the Apes to go to sleep during 2-a-days. And that was just, we stayed there. Oh, and we spent the whole 2 weeks in there. It was terrible.
Yeah. But for people who don't know, or maybe a young aspiring college athlete, there is really no glory when you have a game during Thanksgiving. Everybody's gone. There's nothing going on. Families are in town, but they're spending time with their families. So it's just you and the team. And it's all football all day long. You don't really get that time with the family, which is to some maybe disheartening, but in my opinion, we're getting to play football. I never really minded staying. Fortunate to have Thanksgiving with the family afterwards anyways, but it is a grind, man. So it's not all glorified playing a Thanksgiving game, but definitely well deserved. Usually in the high school world, you're very fortunate to be playing this time of year anyways, but in the college world, we still got games going on. So we are lucky to keep extending that season and playing, one or two more games.
Jed, You up next, or you want me to go?
It doesn't matter to me. Roll ahead.
I mean, for me, obviously, being Pittsburgh's foremost Mountaineer, everything around this, rotates. Everything around this evolves around the brawl. You get what I'm trying to say. I'm mincing my words here, but for me, so long growing up, the brawl used to be played Thanksgiving night for a long time throughout the 90s and the very early 2000s. Yep. And we would, if the game was at Three Rivers Stadium or Heinz Field, now Acrisure Stadium, all the West Virginia family would come up from Doddridge County, stay with us in Pittsburgh. We would have Thanksgiving, and then we would all go to the game. If the game was in Morgantown, my mom and I and our Pittsburgh family, we would drive down to our grandparents' farm in Doddridge. We'd have Thanksgiving meal there in the afternoon, and then me and my uncles and all of us would pile in the cars and go to Mountaineer Field and go to the game. Those are like my earliest Thanksgiving memories in my life. And then obviously when I was in college, 9, 10, and 11, those were the three brawls my freshman, sophomore, junior year before we moved to the Big 12 and Pitt, moved to the ACC. I was fortunate WVU won all three of those games when I was in school. 2009 was the epic Bittencourt field goal to beat the top 10 Pitt team. Yeah. And I've got like a quick little, like for each of those, right? Because those games were all on Black Friday. So like in 2009, I was a freshman at WVU, but my cousin Jared was a senior. So he had an off-campus house. So like all of my freshman buddies, like 6 or 7 of us, we stayed at my cousin's house. We all went back to campus Thursday night and stayed at my cousin's house, like in the living room, on the floor and on couches. Got up Friday, freezing cold game in 2009. We end up winning night game, epic fashion. 2010, all of my boys come up and they stay at my parents' house, over break the night before. And our family from Tennessee came up, and we go down to Heinz Field and we whoop up on Pitt, in what was the last brawl at Heinz Field before obviously last year, and it was rebranded to Acrisure Stadium. And then 2011, same thing. Like I'm leaving my family's house on Thanksgiving to drive back to Morgantown to be there the next day. So that, like, a lot of my WVU Thanksgiving football memories revolve around like ditching my family and being like, all right, later I'm out because I got to get to Morgantown to watch the Mountaineers play the next morning. And then 2018, you guys will get a kick out of this. This will be my last one here. Of course, what was kind of, in a lot of ways, ipso facto Big 12 championship game. Well, it would have gotten us into the first Big 12 championship game. Of course, the Will Grier, Kyler Murray game that ended up not going our way. That game was just a couple months, like that summer, the summer of 2018, my wife Morgan and I, we moved from Philly, where we were living at the time and working, back to Pittsburgh. And so that was my first year having WVU football season tickets again. Well, my wife's entire family comes out to visit us for Thanksgiving, right? And they had, they hadn't been to Pittsburgh before. They had for like trips and stuff like that. But in terms of coming to see us, coming to visit the family, it was the first time they had come out to see us and see our place since we had moved and gotten new jobs and relocated and all these things. And Saturday rolls around and I wake up and I'm like, all right, see you guys. I'm out of here. I'm going to Morgantown for the weekend because it was a night game on Saturday, there all day, carrying on, spent the night there, didn't come back till Sunday. My wife and her family, they might have been a little bit upset at me, but that's a reoccurring theme in my life is that I choose the Mountaineers over family obligations. And I have no regrets in that regard, might I add. But that's when I think WVU football and Thanksgiving weekend, I think about all these brawls, Thanksgiving night and Black Friday, the 2018 game, where I am like, I'm saying goodbye. I'm saying deuces to my family to go watch football. And it was, looking back on it, I wouldn't have it any other way. It was a heck of a way to grow up.
Pretty cool.
No, those are awesome stories. It's one of those things where I wish that tradition was upheld and kept going, because to me, it's like on Thanksgiving, we always watched Packers Lions, right? That was like the game that we always watched from Wisconsin. So those football traditions, man, they run deep, and it's unfortunate that, I understand it is what it is with scheduling and that kind of deal, but that is an awesome tradition
Yeah.
I mean, I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I can only imagine Wes saying,
It's America right there.
"Hey, later, dog. I'm out
You
here."
guys see, yeah.
Hey, mother and father-in-law. I know you just got into town yesterday, but I'm out. See ya. And I won't be back until Sunday. You'll be gone by then. Yeah.
You know what's unfortunate?
Real quick too. Like, here's the thing with the timing of the game, Owen. Like, listen, beggars can't be choosers. I'm happy to have Pitt back on the schedule, but I'm also not going to pretend that it's the same having it in September than it is having it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing too. Right now, right? You know, WVU's 4-7, no bowl game. In theory, right? Air quotes, not a ton to play for here. If we were playing Pitt on Friday or Saturday, it's a completely different story. We feel down, we feel bad. You know, this season has not gone the way we've wanted it to go. You beat Pitt the last week of the season, and you're like, hey, you know what? It's all right. It's not that bad. At least we got those assholes. That's the beauty of having rivalry week at the very end. It in a way gives you a sense of, if your season hasn't gone the way that you've wanted, you can at least end it on a positive note. And that's one of the things I miss most about the brawl. You know, even Pitt right now, yeah, they're 7-4, I think, but they relatively thought they were going to have a much better year. But I bet you know, if they were to beat WVU to finish 8-4 this weekend, instead of having gotten us week 1, which feels like a lifetime ago, they'd probably be saying the same thing. That's kind of the magic of college football rivalries and these games that we wait 364 days a year for. And obviously that we're hoping we'll get back to here at some point.
The Mark Bulger blowouts.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're talking about, Wes. I mean, those weren't exceptional seasons. It was just, you know, we were able to place an exclamation point on an otherwise somewhat unremarkable season in which we underachieved, but it felt better because of the way it ended with those Pitt games.
Right.
What's disheartening about it is in the next segment, we're going to go into rivalry week and look at 10 rivalry games and do projections for those scores. And it's kind of just heartbreaking as I was putting that graphic together, thinking we should be playing Pitt this weekend. I mean, you got the Apple Cup on down the line. We'll go through all of them, the Iron Bowl, Ohio State, Michigan, but we should be playing Pitt this weekend. In a perfect world, in a better world, that's what will be happening. But obviously, you know, Pitt's going to be the straw that stirs that Thanksgiving weekend drink, you know, because a lot of us attach that to it. But for me, I would say, like, it goes differently than when I've worked as a broadcaster, when I was a kid or a fan. Like as a kid, when it kind of reminded me of when I think of Thanksgiving weekend, I think of depending on when the game was played, deer season, okay, and you're up camp for the better part of the week, and you're making your way back in, not just for the holiday, but for the game. Sometimes I remember being in Dad's truck listening to the game on the radio with Jack and Woody, okay. But as a broadcaster, and Big Daddy, this is kind of what we were dealt. You know, our first X amount of years in the Big 12, we spent our first 3 road trips, 12, 14, and 16, we were at the Marriott in West Des Moines. You know, Thanksgiving dinner or Black Friday, and we were traveling out there. We're like, what are we doing here for Thanksgiving weekend? But it was kind of strange. But you do have some Pitt memories, that whether it's the 2010 game at Heinz Field, you know, the blowout, the 35-10. And I remember how happy Stu was there. He was just about as happy when Bittenkurt hit the field goal in 2009. And I got to share both those moments with him. For that matter, the 0-2 game. I mean, I can still see Phil Braxton. I was with a buddy of mine in the stands because I just did pregame then. I was with a buddy of mine in the stands, and Phil Braxton busted that 76-yard touchdown, 79-yard touchdown from Rashid, right? And my buddy didn't even see him score, because we were surrounded by Pitt fans. And by the time Phil Braxton hit the 40, he turned around and just started talking smack to the Pitt fans. And I'm like, what if he would have tripped, you know? But and then thinking back to even when I was in college as a player, we were fortunate enough to be on a playoff run my senior year at Glenville. And Gibby got married right around Thanksgiving, like the week before. And I remember we had a playoff game. We beat Hugh Douglas in Central State to advance to the national championship. And a couple days after that, Thanksgiving weekend, was the big comeback win against Boston College to cap off the unbeaten 93 season. So I got to watch that, or at least part of that as well. And so all of these things are in and around Thanksgiving weekend. And it's just, they're connected at the hip like biscuits and gravy, guys. I mean, or in this case, turkey and gravy, right?
That Ed Hill catch, Jed, we lived out in the country. We did not get cable, so we had to go to my grandma's to even watch the game. And luckily it was around that time, so we had leftovers. Like I can remember from 8 years old freaking out watching Ed Hill make that catch. And like, yes, and now we get to eat. This is a perfect day, like a perfect moment.
Just real quick, you guys will love this story. The Bulger blowout brawl. That was 98, right?
98.
At Three Rivers. There were two in a row, but one of them was like 52-10 was the
98 was the one where he just
42-10. He had like 5 or 6
touchdowns. 6 touchdowns.
Yeah, okay. So Sean, it was 98. That's what I think. My mom and I were there. My mom, Doddridge County born and raised, West Virginia girl, West Virginia grad, who, got a job in Pittsburgh at Allegheny General Hospital after graduation as a nurse. So we're at Three Rivers on the North Shore there at Pittsburgh, where Allegheny General is just a few blocks away, the hospital that my mom works at. Important to note here for the story. We're smoking them, right? We're just absolutely killing them. And there is a guy sitting a couple rows behind my mom and I. And mind you, I'm 8 years old at this time, right? I'm pretty young. So you got to kind of be an asshole to do the things. This guy is, every time my mom and I stand up to celebrate when Mark Bulger throws another touchdown pass, he's like, go back to your trailers, go back to West Virginia, go back to your shanties, right? Go back to your trailers, da-da-da-da-da-da. So, like the last touchdown pass that Mark Bulger throws there's like 3-4 minutes left in the game or something, right? And like we score, my mom and I are standing up and celebrating, right? And my mom's like, all right, this is about to get ugly. Like I'm getting you out of here. Cause again, I'm 8 years old. You know what I mean? And like, my mom's like, I'm not having my son get involved with all this fan riffraff that's going on as we stomp a mud hole in Pitt's chest here. My mom and I get up to leave. And this guy goes, yeah, you're going back to your trailers. Enjoy that trash drive down country roads. Like some smart aleck remark. Yeah. And my mom turns to him and she goes, hey, asshole. And this guy, I should have mentioned too, big, sloppy, stereotypical Yinzer. All right. Yeah. Like we joke, we call Sean handsome, tubby man of gold, but this guy was like Jabba the Hutt. You know what I mean? Like he really let himself go. My mom turns to this guy and she goes, hey, asshole, I live here and I work here at Allegheny General Hospital. And when you need bypass surgery in a couple years, I'll be the one taking care of you when you come off the surgery table. And like the look on his face was like, all right, well, I better not mess with this lady.
Mm-hmm. He ain't coming out from the anesthesia.
Again, I was because my mom was a she was a post open heart surgery nurse, like cardiac rehab nurse, and she literally looked at this guy and she was like, "When you need bypass surgery in a couple years, I'll be the one taking care of you when you come out of surgery at Allegheny General Hospital."
The cath lab.
I was 8 years old, and I still remember that so vividly. And I was like, "Yeah, Mom, you got it."
Oh yeah.
I mean, think about that. 2 years in a row. Okay, I just checked the scores. We had the 2 blowouts. 52-14 in 98.
That's the one.
And then again, 52-21 in 97 and 99. Wes, to your point, we were 4-7, but it felt kind of good to springboard off a win. You know what I mean? Yeah.
The only reason I know that one is 98 for sure was because that was the all access year where they were like, it was Hard Knocks for WVU football in 98.
Yes.
And like the stuff that they got in the locker room with Bulger after that, like on the phone with all his Pittsburgh family, it's like some of the best stuff that MSN ever did back in the day.
Wow.
Oh, I love it.
Excellent.
I love it. Sean, you'll like this too. Mark Madden, who's a very popular radio host in Pittsburgh. He knows the Bulger family very well. Been friends with the Bulger family.
Told me many stories.
Yes. So, he was on the sideline for that game in 98, and him and Mark were celebrating coming off the field. Like, yeah, like Pitt, you were the Central Catholic kid and Pitt didn't give you a scholarship and you came here and you shoved it up their ass for the second straight year. Pitt football still holds a grudge against Mark Madden because he's like the big Pittsburgh radio host and he's on the sideline jumping up and down with Mark Bulger, like chest bumping him after Pitt just got smoked by WVU. There's people in the Pitt athletic department that still hold that against Madden. It's hilarious.
Madden is the ultimate heel. Like he's perfect.
Yes. Yeah. He worked in wrestling for all those years.
He gets it.
He gets it. And I'm telling you, there's still people around Pitt 20 some years later now that don't like him just because he was celebrating on the sideline with Mark Bulger. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. That's rivalry. That's the beauty of college football. That's why we all dig it so much. Gentlemen, this was fun. I mean, we could do this for another hour, but this was fun.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving memories.
Thanksgiving
By the way,
memories.
stuffing, Wes, is the answer, because I know you're going to ask it eventually before we go. Stuffing.
Or dressing.
Wow.
Stuffing, no question.
What is the food of choice for old?
No question.
Old
Okay, but see here,
Shonsky?
so real quick before we let you go, because I like how you can tell you're a good interviewee. You know where the questions are going.
I know where we're leading.
So everyone always asks like favorite dish and all that, right? So okay, how about this? How about least favorite? What's the one dish that you're like, nah, I'm good on that. That doesn't belong on my plate.
Been answering this all week with all the guys. So I would say cranberry anything, but it's not fair for me to say that because we never ate it growing up. So I will say sweet potato casserole. Adios.
Buddy, you and I are simpatico.
Now turn that into a pie. Give me a sweet potato pie, which Shelby has made for me before with like a little candy bacon on top. I'm yours forever. The casserole, adios muchacho.
I'm not a sweet potato guy at all.
Not a cranberry guy, not a sweet potato
What?
guy.
I'm a canned cranberry guy.
Are you Wes?
I'll take canned cranberry. Yeah, I'll take
Give me a canned cranberry. I'll eat the whole
I'll do that.
thing.
Is Wisconsin?
Shotgun. Yeah. We got to get Owen to shotgun a can of cranberry.
We probably grew up next to the cranberry fields in Wisconsin. He's got some homerism going on here.
I'm telling you right now, dude.
And the can tree.
I'm a canned cranberry guy.
I like canned cranberry. I sure do. Yeah.
All the way.
I will say this: cranberry is better than homemade cranberry.
I don't.
Yeah, I can get with that.
Yes,
it's got to have those It's got to have those can ridges.
Yes, it's got to have the ridges, son. It's got to have the ridges.
Cut it like a fine fillet.
Yes.
That's what Marty Crane said on Frasier.
All day long, dude. Canned cranberry. Now, I'm not a homemade cranberry dish guy at all. No. I love my grandmother makes great green bean casserole. I will pop that on the plate. I will put that on top of everything.
Yeah, let me say this too. Green beans in the crock pot with bacon.
Oh, you don't do the crunchy onions on top?
Sometimes after it cooks.
You've never lived. I'm sorry, you've never had Thanksgiving.
Let me tell you this too. I've made fancy stuffing with like sausage, and I've made like honeyed apples and all this mixed together. Good. There's nothing sexier in this world than just a box of stovetop.
Oh, dude, 100%.
It's untouchable.
You want to know the ingredient I put in my dressing, and you'll love it or you'll hate it, and you'll probably hate it. My grandma is why we did this years ago. She started us with this recipe. Oysters.
So Shelby's grandma is from Louisville. Excuse me, Mamaw. It's from Louisville. When we started dating, her mamaw makes oyster casserole every year, and all it is pretty much dressing with oysters in it.
That's what we did. There you go.
It's unreal.
Interesting. I love it. I've never had it, but I would definitely dabble.
Unreal.
It doesn't taste like stuffing to me without oysters.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very fair.
We got to wrap. We've kept Sean here for like 40 minutes. I love it. We appreciate the time. I don't want any explanation. I don't want any commentary. I just want a yes or no answer. Okay. Sean, you first. I'm going to go around the horn here. Mac and cheese on Thanksgiving, yes or no?
No.
Jed, Owen,
no.
All right. And well, you know what, Sean, you step into the host seat. I'm going to get out of here. Let's
have something to do. And let me tell you, mac and cheese, top 3 food for me all time. You've never met a mac and cheese slut like me. But Thanksgiving, we've got enough elsewhere.
Yeah, we got enough, son.
Yeah,
that's a t-shirt we got to make right there.
This is the dish. These are the classic dishes. We can't eat much. Is never enough.
Never met a mac and cheese slut like him.
Mac and cheese and tenders on my deathbed. Like that's the last thing I want in my mouth before I'm out.
Hey, we need to make a Sean shirt to sell, and on the back it's got to be his face.
Mac and cheese slut.
Mac and cheese slut.
Absolutely.
like the worst Porky Pig Looney Tunes logo you've ever seen, but with mac and cheese slut underneath.
Oh boy.
Oh, Wes, I don't know. I'll give you one little trivia fact here before I bounce. Oklahoma State this weekend, right? Where we do our post-game press conference. It's the old Oklahoma State team theater. Any idea what happened in that room that went viral?
Aha.
Wait, hold on. Recently, or is it the I'm a Man, I'm 40?
I'm a Man, I'm 40 took place in that room where we do our post game. And the first time we walked in there in 2012, I was like, this was it.
There he is.
This was it. I knew it was
Daddy.
At first, I was.
This
At
is
first, I was thinking
2018, so.
that is great. At first,
It's
I
the
was thinking,
gun
Sean,
bill.
you were going with like some obscure, like I was thinking like you were going to tell me Stevie Ray Vaughan played a famous show there.
Oh,
or
I
something.
wish.
Or like
Oh,
the Grateful Dead played a 4-hour show here one time and brought the house
Much
down,
bigger than
right?
that.
But
Yeah.
I mean,
Much
Gundy, I'm
bigger.
a man, I'm 40. I tell you what.
Walked in to set up post game in 2012. I'm a pup. And I looked in the room. I was like, "Is this?" And one of the security guards was out there. He goes, "Yes, man. This is where it happened. Are you going to accept your $5?" Like,
there's going to be one of those national plaques one day outside of there.
It's his face
says,
bronze mid yelling point.
On this year in 2008, Mike Gundy gave his famous "I'm a man, I'm 40" speech. Gundy stayed with the Oklahoma Sooners for 15 more years, won Big 12 titles,
put it on the
beat
National
Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl.
Jed, I know you've got a connection. Get it on the National Historical Registry.
That's what I'm looking for. See,
I'm kind of I'm strangely looking forward to this because, as you know, normally I've been in the locker room, but as of late, I have to migrate into the media room with you, which I'm not a big fan of. I'd rather be in the locker room doing what I was doing before. But long story short, I'll be in there with you, but now it kind of makes it worth it.
See, you can soak up the vibes.
Yeah.
It's a national historic landmark there in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Great stuff from our buddy Sean Merinar, Big Daddy, WVU Athletics Insider, handsome, tubby, man of gold, mac and cheese slut. Buddy, we appreciate it. Thank you for your time as always.
Smooches, babes. Thank you, guys.
When we come back here, we will do some projections and some predictions for rivalry weekend across college football. We'll talk about some games in the Big 12 as well. When we return, you are in the gun. For nearly 20 years, Fortis has been the nation's leader in providing guaranteed roof performance programs for commercial buildings. Fortis offers roof performance solutions that feature extensive initial and ongoing reconditioning for commercial buildings as an alternative to traditional replacement, with long-term performance guarantees that are backed by global leader Lloyd's of London. Fortis offers a comprehensive range of roof performance management programs that provide financial security, extend the life of our customers' roofs, and make a significant impact on ROI. Fortis is currently improving performance and increasing ROI for customers at more than 4,800 locations, with more than 140 million square feet protected, including many Fortune 500 companies that have turned to Fortis to save money, gain financial certainty, and extend the life of their existing roofs. Fortis has helped customers save more than $520 million in capital roof replacement costs for an average ROI of over 250%. To learn more, visit fortis.us.com. Fortis, roof performance and financial certainty guaranteed.
It's like the Blue Lot, but with better gifts. All the cool kids are hanging out at itgfootball.com. Check it out.
Back in the gun here, and we've got some breaking news. On our previous episode, we did a little speculating about the upcoming college football playoff rankings. Well, those have just released as we record on Tuesday night. Jed asked us who's going to be ranked higher, LSU or USC. Also, who's going to be ranked higher, Alabama or Tennessee. Well, we've got some answers, fellas. Same top four: Georgia 1, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. That's your top four. Number 5, it's LSU, Brian Kelly's Tigers. Number 6, USC, 7, Alabama, 8, Clemson, 9, Oregon, and 10, Tennessee. So it looks like the Hendon Hooker effect is real there, Jed. Tennessee getting dinged a little bit, knowing that their starting quarterback's going to be out the rest of the year.
Yeah, the committee dropped them lower than the AP did. So that certainly seems to be the case. I think a lot of this is going to sort itself out as some of these teams play each other, particularly LSU sitting there at number 5 with 2 losses. But stay tuned. The plot will thicken here the next week.
Yes. Oh, it certainly will. It's a big day on Saturday. We'll be keeping an eye on a lot of those games while we keep an eye on the Mountaineers. It's rivalry weekend, Jed. So we did a little different this week. What do we got going here for rivalry week as opposed to our traditional top 25 look?
Yeah, I tell you what we're going to do, guys. We have 10 big rivalry games from the Egg Bowl to the Iron Bowl. We talked about Ohio State and Michigan's this weekend. What we're going to do is we're going to park that graphic on our Twitter account at In the Gun Podcast, and listeners and viewers can visit us on Twitter at In the Gun Podcast and check out that graphic. Because again, rivalry weekend, it just kind of makes me sad we're not playing Pitt, because there's a lot of cool matchups here from NC State, North Carolina, Florida, Florida State, Georgia Tech, Oregon State, even the Apple Bowl with Washington State. I mean, you got some cool stuff going on here, but check it out on Twitter. I always put the tail of the tape graphics up there So you'll also be able to check out that for those 10 different projections. If you want to know the projected score to these rivalry games, there's a Twitter tease. Go to our Twitter account to check out the projections for these games.
There you go. I love it. At In the Gun Podcast on Twitter is where you can get involved. What about the Big 12 though, Jed? Last weekend of regular season play here. What are we looking at? We'll pull up our Big 12 graphic here across the conference.
Full slate, starting with Baylor at Texas. Texas 7-point favorite. We're projecting a 31-24 Longhorns win based on the numbers. Again, that game's Friday. And then for the Saturday games, Iowa State at TCU. Can TCU finish the regular season unbeaten? They're a heavy favorite at 10.5. We're projecting a 28-17 Frogs win. And then Texas Tech in Lubbock hosting Oklahoma. The Sooners a slight favorite. We're projecting them to win a shootout 33-31 over the Red Raiders. And then the Mayflower battle. You've got Kansas State hosting Kansas. 37-24, we're projecting the Wildcats to win. And of course, if the Wildcats do win, they advance to the Big 12 title game. So opportunity for them. Over the Jayhawks, the projections 37-24.
So those are our projections. We also make predictions here every single week. We've got some standings. We've been keeping track of this throughout the year. And I mean, gentlemen, I don't know. At this point, I've gotten some digs in. Owen's giving me the stuff yourself salute. We'll pull up the standings graphic right now. Sometimes the numbers just speak louder than words. I'm in first place with 41 points. Owen and Jed, though, tight battle for second. Owen at 25, Jed at 20. Jed, you need a big week here this week to overtake Big O.
Okay. So again, I think the scoring system, after we have a frame of reference now that's broad enough to check and see, I think that's been pretty fair.
Yeah.
I think that's worked out pretty well. And it's a little more interesting and captivating than just we either hit or we miss, right? So
that's right. That's right.
Yeah, I'm going to need a big weekend and hope that Owen stubs his toe.
Well, who you casting your die with here for the final signal caller of the regular season?
If you want to pull up the graphic, I'm going to go ahead and curse Tyler Shuck of Texas Tech because I'm projecting him against Oklahoma. They have Oklahoma and Lubbock. Tyler Shuck's been playing pretty good football. He's been playing efficient football and leading them to a couple wins lately. I expect him to open things up a little bit in this home finale and let him chuck it a little bit in that Zach Kitley offense. So I'm going to project Tyler Shuck to throw for the most yards among Big 12 quarterbacks, which of course means it's going to be a long day for Tyler Shuck because he won't do much of anything.
All right. Jed going with Tyler there for his much needed big Saturday. Owen tells us his beer truck of the week, of course, which running back will rush for the most yards across the conference. Owen, is the love affair continuing?
I need 3 points. Okay.
3 points
shuts Jed out. I'm going with the deuces loose versus Kansas. All right. Old Bijan had a day against Kansas.
He sure did
last week. And I'm expecting nothing less, maybe a little bit less. He had a career day, obviously, but I'm expecting him to have a good day versus Kansas. If they can do a little bit of what Texas did versus them, I think I'll be in the clear. All I need is 3 points, baby. And Jed is going down, son.
The way we bottled Deuce up, it lines up pretty well because I doubt that's going to happen twice in a row, right?
Well said.
We put a lot of emphasis on him.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that Kansas won't. I'm sure they'll look at the tape and they'll see kind of some of the things we did, but they got too much going on. It's going to be hard to bottle him up, man. And we've been, in my opinion, better at run defense all year than Kansas has. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it. I think he goes at least 100 bills. At least.
I mean, think about it, Owen. They had what Bijan did plus another 100-yard rusher Texas did against Kansas last week. So it's a rivalry game. That's the only caveat.
It is a rivalry game, but I'm gonna say it. You know what? I said 100 plus. He's going 150 at least. At least.
Oh,
At least. I got 5 on it.
He gonna put it on him like Steve Slayton up there in 2006 at Heinz Field.
Hey, last game of the season, Ted. Can't hold anything back.
What do you
Leave
got?
it all out there. Leave it all out there. My defense of the week, I'm going with TCU, the Horned Frogs. They're playing Iowa State. Iowa State doesn't score a lot of points. They're dead last in the conference. They're not going to a bowl game. They don't have much to play for. TCU's got everything to play for. I'm going with the Horned Frogs to slam the door shut and then just be one step away from the college football playoff as long as they were to take care of business in the Big 12 championship game. So there you have it. There's our predictions for this week. We'll see how it all shakes out when we return next week. We got to get to a break here. When we come back on the other side, it will be time for the Cowboys preview. OSU down in Stillwater. It's a team that's had our number, certainly, over these last few years. What do the Mountaineers have to do to change that? Who's got the edge in the air, ground, special teams, intangibles? We'll start to break down the season finale against OSU when we return on the other side. You are in the gun.
Game day got you on the go? We get it. GoMart is here to keep you going all season long with stores throughout our home state. We're a proud West Virginia-owned company, and our friendly staff is committed to serving our communities. From fuel to freshly brewed coffee and snacks, a stop at GoMart to cover your game day needs is always a touchdown. Plus, GoMart Rewards members earn points with each purchase to redeem for discounts on gas and free items. So stop by, start saving, and stay on the go with GoMart.
Mountaineer Nation, have you visited us online? For great gifts and gear and our entire episode playlist, check out itgfootball.com.
Back in the gun here. Time to take a look at the Mountaineers and the Cowboys. High noon in Stillwater. It'll be 11 o'clock local time. Jed's favorite time for a kickoff on the road, if he does say so himself. We're going to talk about the edge in the air, ground, special teams, intangibles, all those things that we do here. Jed, I'll start with you since you are the signal caller. Who's got the edge in the air?
All right. Well, let's systematically hit the 4 points. Pass offense, pass defense on both sides. Let's kind of start with West Virginia. Okay. Garrett, over the course of the last 3 games, and he was announced as starter. That's not to say we won't have others play, but let's start with Garrett. 31 to 54, 57% of the last 3 games, 385 yards, 5 touchdowns, a couple picks. Okay. Fairly productive numbers, especially for a kid getting his first truly meaningful reps, especially as a starter. I'd like to see that 57% go up. And I think if he takes some of the easy access throws that are given him, that will be the next step in his maturation. You'll see that climb. When you look at defensively, Oklahoma State, people have thrown all over these guys. They're dead last in the Big 12 against the pass. They're allowing 270 yards a game at large. They're worse at home. They're also last in the Big 12 in games played at home, allowing almost 300 yards per game. Now, the issue might be they're the number 1 ranked third down defense in the Big 12. It's difficult to square or reconcile those types of numbers with those deficiencies in their pass defense. What they'll like to do and what they're good at is when they get you into 3rd and long, when it's 3rd and 10 or longer, and they get you off script quite a bit, they're also number 1 in the Big 12 in pass efficiency defense. So they lure you into that, and that makes them pretty dangerous for a team that gives up yards by the bucketful to the pass game. So situationally, they find a way to beat you. And then when you look at West Virginia's defense, the struggles have been well chronicled. We talked about it last week against Kansas State. We've talked about it for the better part of the year. West Virginia has allowed the most big plays to the pass game, 40-plus yard completions in the Big 12, 13 this year. Now, when you look at West Virginia's history against Oklahoma State's passing offense, kind of interesting. A year ago, Spencer Sanders, it was the first time we faced him. People think we faced him the whole 4 years he's been playing. That's not been the case. He's been dinged up. He only threw for 182 yards, or Oklahoma State threw for 182 yards last year, but they were built to more ground and pound, cater to the strengths of their defense. It wasn't the high-flying Mike Gundy offenses that we know and love, right? And even a couple years ago, the last time we were in Stillwater, we held their pass game to 139 yards. But remember, once again, Spencer Sanders was dinged up. They had to start Shane Illingsworth. It was his first career start as a freshman. Go back to 2019 in Morgantown. First time we faced him with Neil Brown. Again, didn't face Spencer Sanders. He was hurt. Drew Brown, the Hawaii transfer, started. We held him to 196 yards. Spencer Sanders is playing this week, and Spencer Sanders is their spark plug. He's a dynamic kid. They're averaging 320 yards a game at home. They play very good football. This is a recurring theme at T. Boone Pickens Stadium. They don't play nearly as well on the road. They play their best football at home. And as we know, Spencer Sanders is a dual threat guy who loves to extend plays. He has 36 scrambles, which even missing a game in the better part of a couple other games due to injury, that's pretty significant. It's far and away the most in the Big 12, and it actually is the 8th most among FBS passers. So I find that kind of interesting. Talk about big plays, splash plays. We talked about West Virginia's deficiency defensively against them. Well, offensively, Oklahoma State is tied for the Big 12 lead with 40-plus yard completions with 13. Guys, last year they had 5 all year. Again, they were built differently last year. They've opened things back up with coordinator Casey Dunn this year. So that's what's going to be interesting is the big play. I do think Brennan Presley is a beast. I mean, he really is. He's think about this, guys. For all the weapons in the Big 12 as pass receiving targets, nobody has forced more missed tackles forced than Brennan Presley. Not Quentin Johnston. It doesn't matter. Not Xavier. Xavier. Help me out here. I'm blanking with the kid from Iowa State. So on down the line, 17 missed tackles. Okay, that's significant. They got 2 slots that can play. They got 2 true wideouts that can play, and Bryson Grennan and Braden Johnson. Their other slot is a ball player too, John Paul Richardson. He sounds like the drummer in a garage band, but trust me, he can cause some problems, all right? And they'll push the football his way as well. So I'm kind of looking at it like this. All things considered, I have to give the tilt to Oklahoma State when it comes to throwing the football because they're just too dynamic, even with their deficiencies on the back end defensively. And I do expect us to have some opportunities. I want to see something out of Bryce Ford Wheaton. In his career, 3 catches for 33 yards against Oklahoma State in 3 games. So this is the type of game he needs to swell up and make some things happen on the perimeter against the struggling Oklahoma State defense. But I think the assignment for the West Virginia defense is a stiff one. And I think it's too much to ask, and I tilt to Oklahoma State in the passing game.
Big O, do you concur?
I concur. Just one thing to add, we play like dog poo on the road, so I will give Okie State the thumbs up.
Yeah, Jed, I think you kind of laid it out perfectly there. The only things I would add too is, Spencer Sanders is making his 40. I looked this. He's had 40 starts at Oklahoma State, so this will be his 41st start. Garrett Green's making his 2nd. Both defenses struggle to defend the pass. Both defenses, have had their issues in the secondary this season. For me, what gives Oklahoma State the advantage? You got a quarterback who's made over 40 starts, once that kickoff happens on Saturday against a quarterback who's making just his 2nd start ever in his collegiate career. I think we're
67 times last week in Bedlam.
It's insane.
He threw the football 67 times.
Now again, they fell behind 21-0.
They fell behind. So, yeah. That's right. Now, if we can get him into into some of the bad Spencer, where he starts turning the football over. By the way, Xavier Hutchinson, I had a mental gap. I had Xavier Worthy on my mind. There's too many Xaviers catching footballs in the Big 12. I was thinking of Texas's stud instead of Iowa State stud. But yeah, I'm telling you, Brennan Presley is right there with those guys in that same conversation. He's a playmaker in the open field, and he's a heck of a route runner and a very productive player.
Well, Jed, let's go to the ground here then, since we all make it a clean sweep for the Cowboys in the air. Who's got the advantage on the ground?
Owen, why don't you take the lead with on the ground? What do you have in terms of general thoughts? Let's start with what you've seen from our running game since Garrett's been inserted.
I would say, well, last game, Mathis, it is what it is, I guess. There, our newcomer, our young buck, he ends up throwing a 7 attempt decent decent job with the attempts that he was given.
What do you think of Jalen? That's what I was going to ask you. What do you think?
What?
Jalen Anderson. I mean, it's the first significant reps he got.
That's what I'm saying. He got 7 attempts. I thought he did well with the reps that he got. It shows promise there in the run game. Johnson as well. He just came to work, did his thing. I don't know. Oklahoma State's roughly around a 3-point something average yards a game. West Virginia is roughly a yard more. Both run games have struggled as of late. I feel like our run defense last week did perform well as far as going against one of the premier rushers in the league.
Who are you giving it to?
I'm going to give it to Okie State. I don't know. Here's my intangible here is we do not play well on the road. We just do not play well on the road.
Well, I'll say this.
I don't know what it is, but we have, we'll see what happens with how many reps. It really depends on the reps of where we go. Are we going, Garrett had such an impact in the run game 2 weeks ago, but last week really wasn't much of a run factor. So you know what I'm saying? I don't know what the game plan is going to be as far as attacking Oklahoma State. I know as far as ending the season on a high note, look, here's your chance to, quote unquote, what I've seen on message boards, beat Oklahoma and Oklahoma State in the same year. We haven't done that.
Yep.
You have to bring some sort of hype to the game, something to end on a good note, to end the season on a win. We have to dominate. Listen, we all know the fundamentals of football. We have to dominate up front. We got to control the clock, right? And we got to make big plays. Not so much all the time, but we got to make influencing plays in the game. We got to hold on to the football. Let's just go back to what we've preached all year. Let's play sound West Virginia football, eliminate the mistakes, right? Eliminate the stupid penalties, and we can dominate, okay? But in this game, in this matchup, just the way the consistency has ran with games away, I don't know. I don't know why we can't play well on the road. I don't know if we're prepared enough. Man, I seen a statement. I know I'm getting off on a tangent here. Lee Koba saying he wasn't as so much prepared for some games that he was in other ones. I don't know what's going on in the meeting rooms, but all I know is we're playing a 7-4 team. We're a 4-7 team. Us getting a win here puts us in projection for at least a good taste in our mouth going in the offseason, fighting, competing, going in the offseason, ready to work, ready to prepare for next season. And I know I haven't given a lot of intangibles about anything about the run game for the sheer fact that we just do not play well on the road this year.
That's fine.
And
so we had a clean sweep with the pass game. All three of us going with Okie State. Owen's going Okie State with the run game.
Yeah.
Here's what I'd add. Okay. Here's the way I'm viewing the run game. Okay. Oklahoma State has struggled mightily to run the football. They're 9th in the Big 12 rushing offense. Dominic Richardson hasn't been the answer. He's no Jalen Warren. He's no Chuba Hubbard. I mean, they've had that bell cow back there for quite some time, and he's averaging 3.6 yards a carry. He barely eclipsed 500 yards in the season so far, and he's pacing them. The difference maker in the run game for them has been Spencer Sanders, and because he's been so dinged up, he's been limited. He has almost 400 yards on the ground and 8 touchdowns, but he has to be a little careful just to try and stay on the field. And that's what he's missed significant time over the course of the last month as a result of that. They have the fewest runs in the Big 12 of 20-plus yards. They have 8. Now, here's some perspective for you. The last time they had fewer than 20, they have 8. And the last time they had fewer than 20 in a season was 2015. Okay? So if you look at what West Virginia is trying to do offensively, okay, Tony's still on the mend. Each week he gets a little better with that elbow. Okay, it's kind of a nagging injury. It's just, oh, and you understand that the position itself, you could play just like Neil said this week, just about any other position with that injury, but because of ball security, it's more problematic at a running back. So Tony's going to be coming back around. Justin's going to be steady Eddie as Justin normally is, and now you got this new factor, this new player in the equation, and Jalen Anderson showing some promising things.
Oh, he's hungry.
If you set the table for him. Now with Garrett, here's what I see with Garrett. And as you talked about, Owen, 2 weeks ago against Oklahoma, 119 yards. Last week against K-State, 17. Well, the good news for West Virginia, when I watch Oklahoma State on tape defensively, it looks a whole lot more like Oklahoma than it does like K-State. Undisciplined, missing run fits, taking chances. And to that end, I mean, they're allowing 164 yards a game on the ground. They're 8th in the Big 12 against the rush. But when I say take chances, they will miss run fits. They will leave gaps open. There's not great gap integrity. They're a whole lot like the Oklahoma team that Garrett ran all over. They're not like the fundamentally sound, always in position K-State team. And I think the poster child for that is Mason Cobb, their linebacker, their leading tackler. Now, he was supposed to be the heir apparent to Malcolm Rodriguez, who that guy was a sideline to sideline ball hawk last year, guys. I mean, he made he erased problems for them at the middle backer position. They don't have a guy like that. They don't have a Carby Hovell Peel. They don't have a Jarek Bernard Converse. These guys in the back end that allow you to get a little more creative in the box with what you're trying to do to stop the run. But Mason Cobb is a guy, this tells you a lot about him. Again, when you watch him on tape, he plays somewhat out of control, okay? He leads the Big 12 in what's categorized by Pro Football Focus as stops. That's an unsuccessful run by a ball carrier offensively. He has 33 stops, okay? But he also has 21 missed tackles to lead the Big 12. He flies around out of control, and I kind of get the sense, I do wonder, is he going to be assigned as the spy who's keeping an eye on Garrett Green? This guy who flies around out of control and dives and misses tackles and plays so aggressive. When he gets you, he gets all of you. But when he misses, and he misses often, you have an opportunity to make some plays. So all these things considered, I know it's on the road. That's my concern. That is my concern. But here's what I want to see, guys. For 3 quarters in Ames, Iowa, matter of fact, for 47 minutes of a 60-minute game, the defense persevered way past the point they should have, okay? And showed us that Iowa State was exactly what we thought Iowa State was, a team that could not run the football at all. And then finally, because the offense gave them no help, the defense just couldn't do it anymore and started getting desperate, missing fits, diving for tackles, and all of a sudden, the Iowa State team that for the better part of 3+ quarters, they made look exactly like they are, a team that can't run the football. They made a couple big plays, and a stat sheet was suddenly deceiving, okay? What I want to see against Oklahoma State, make Oklahoma State look exactly like they are. Do that. Do what you did to Iowa State. Do exactly what you did to Iowa State and expose them as being one-dimensional offensively, just like you did at Iowa State. Except this time, I want to see some help from the offense so the defense can continue that into the 4th quarter and finish the job. I'm going to give the advantage on the ground to West Virginia, albeit a slight one.
So I got to break the tie here. See, I love how we do this because Owen and I do all these exercises through gold and blue glasses. Jed does a great job with the global assessing from the other team perspective. Owen and I just look at it from the WVU perspective. I'm going Oklahoma State slightly here. I agree with what you said about Iowa State, Jed. That to me has felt like an outlier performance more than the standard lately.
That's fair.
Run game was successful on the road for this team week 1, week 3 against Virginia, or week 4 against Virginia Tech, it would have been. But other than that, there's been struggles on both sides of the football on the road, maybe with the Iowa State game being the outlier. This offensive line has been our offensive line has been so much better at home than they've been on the road. I'm not, you're absolutely right. For a large stretch of that game up in Ames, it was a Herculean effort by the defense, I think. I just don't know if you're going to get that same type of inspired performance in the last game of the season when you quote unquote, or in reality have nothing to play for, when there's some comments coming out of the program, both from guys like Lee Koba, like Owen mentioned, from Neil at his press conference on Tuesday, where, like, I don't want to say guys are going through the motions, but some people know that there's going to more than likely not be a lot of sweeping changes here next week. And these guys are human, from the coaching staff to the players. So whether it's the players thinking about what's next, whether it's the coaching staff thinking about what's next, I'm just not putting my eggs in the basket of those guys being dialed in for 3.5 hours on the road in Stillwater in a place where we haven't won since Nam. So I do love how you break it down from Oklahoma State's standpoint, Jed. I do. And I think there's a lot of great stuff there. I don't have the faith that we're going to see a performance like we did in Ames, that we're going to see a team come out there and just lay it all on the line and be buttoned up and have gap integrity on defense and be able to shut down that struggling run game and to, be able to get things going on our own end. I'm a pessimist, as I've said before, and I'm going Oklahoma State here slightly. I'll side with Big O on this one. Although, like I said, I do love how you look at it. You look at it from a global standpoint, where Owen and I are wearing gold and blue glasses.
You made a great case. And now this isn't the game at large; it's the run game. Okay,
right.
The only thing that I disagree or push back on is I don't know that Ames was an exceptional effort. Iowa State's running game is bad. We knew that going in. Sure. We showed how bad they were by showing up and simply doing our job. Not some incredible job, just the same job every other team had done to them.
No, that's fair.
It looked like that's what we were going to do for the whole game. They can't run the football. But finally, the strain of having to carry the entire thing and keep that thing hanging tight as the offense couldn't get out of its own way in a one-score game weighed too heavily. I didn't think it was some exceptional effort by the defense. I just thought we showed up.
No, you're right.
We slowed down a horrible running game. That's what I thought we did.
You got to stay dialed in to do that for 3.5 hours.
It's the four quarters that bothers me, and I don't know what it is about the away games. We just don't got it for the four quarters. We just don't have it. We at home. I mean, I know it's funny that we joke about Wes and I going to games and us winning those games.
Stillwater,
but legit, it's funny to me because it makes me feel like, dude, this is the worst jinx you could ever be a part of. And I don't know. They can't find it at the away games. It's something about not being at home. It's something about just, I don't know if it's the travel, you know what I mean? I'm sure it wears on you. This is not a normal travel schedule for any real other college program. I mean, we're traveling long distances to get to these places. It ain't like going to Rutgers or Syracuse.
Well, the difference would be this:
somewhere within the region.
We're the easternmost team in a Southwestern Conference. Now, all the Pac-12 schools travel, but that's just it. They all travel.
They all travel, though.
We're the outlier. We're the only team in the conference doing it. So yeah, it's a little different there. But
yeah, so I don't know if it's lag or what it is. I don't know. We just have not played well on the road, except for the exception of the Pitt game, which isn't really even a road game in my opinion. That's your back door. Same thing with Virginia Tech. I don't know, man. I don't feel like we got it on the road, and that's really why I feel that way about our game. And really, I believe that we're better in the run game than Oklahoma State. We don't have it when we go elsewhere. So
Owen,
I'm sorry.
I'm guessing here, Owen, that's enough for you, intangibles and teams to go with the Cowboys as well too.
Yeah, we ain't got it on the road. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
I piggyback off of that, and listen, I know this Oklahoma State team hasn't played well lately. I mean, they they were out of that game against Oklahoma early. They got blown out by Kansas. They got absolutely boat raced by Kansas State. I mean, in their last 4 games, really the only one that's been competitive is that tight victory that they had over Iowa State. But I'm with Owen. If this game was in Morgantown, I think I would swing WVU here. But I'm going Okie State. Intangibles of being at home, of them still, hey, they win and they finish 8-4. That's not the season that they were hoping to have, but that's not a bad season either by any means. Yeah. And you combine that with what we finally saw looked like our beloved hero, everyone's favorite kicker, Casey Legg, coming back down to earth and in that unit a little bit this past weekend as well. Jed, we're going to make it a clean sweep on intangibles and teams. What you got for us there?
Well, special teams, yeah, that's kind of what I was looking at. What's heretofore been a strength for us, at least in some respects, the kicking game between Oliver Straw and Casey. We had issues. We had major issues in special teams, not just operationally, the field goal and PAT team, but kickoff coverage. That was an issue. They got a whale of a kicker in Tanner Brown. The kid's 19 at 20. Okay. And Brennan Presley is a dangerous return man. Anytime the ball's in his hands or potentially in his hands, big things happen. But we have struggled on the road, and this is a different narrative than I mean, like in some respects, this game reminds me. Okay, you have nothing to play for, now you're hopping on a plane and hitting the road. Well, the last time we had nothing to play for and hopped on a plane and hit the road, we went to TCU a few years ago and knocked them out of a bowl game. They were battling to win their 6th game to go to a bowl. We had nothing to play for last game of the year and went down to Fort Worth and upset them and finished 5-7. That's what's on the table now. It just has a different feel. Okay. But the biggest thing to me is I have to give a tilt to Oklahoma in finding a way to rebound from a very disappointing Bedlam loss. I mean, you could go one of 2 ways with that. Is it going to be a hangover and one loss turns into 2, or are they going to rebound? And I remember they lost a heartbreaker in 2018, a heartbreaker, that 48-47 shootout in Bedlam. And all they did was rebound as underdogs against us, our Will Greer-led team in 2018, and upset us and overcoming a 17-point second half deficit. So they find a way to claw back from those tough losses against Oklahoma. It's a tough place to play if there's any kind of energy in that building. The paddle people of the West End are right behind you. The sideline is about 6 feet freaking wide. I mean, you just have no space to do anything. It's a tough place for visiting teams if there's any kind of energy. And I suspect there will be some kind of energy. So all things considered, because for those reasons, I have to give the special teams and intangibles tilt to Oklahoma State.
Well, we'll pull up the graphic now. Here's our picks. Owen and I going clean sweep with the Pokes. Jed going WVU on the ground, but Oklahoma State everywhere else. We will see how it plays out, and obviously no asterisks this week, as I'm telling you right now, there's no chance I'm going to be at that game. I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it. I got to be in Indianapolis on Sunday for Steelers responsibilities. I will not be in Stillwater on Saturday. I'll tell you that one right now.
Probably just as close.
Probably just as close. Although it's nice this weekend. I don't have to travel to Indy till Sunday because the Steelers play the Colts Monday Night Football.
It's true.
So I'll get a nice couple days at home with the family, and I'll be able to sit there and watch our game and all the other games on Rivalry Saturday. So at least got that going for me, which is nice.
There you go.
We're gonna take our last break here. When we come back on the other side, we'll do some final previews of WVU Oklahoma State. Give our score projections and some final thoughts before we get out of here. You're listening to ITG. For nearly 20 years, Fortis has been the nation's leader in providing guaranteed roof performance programs for commercial buildings. Fortis offers roof performance solutions that feature extensive initial and ongoing reconditioning for commercial buildings as an alternative to traditional replacement, with long-term performance guarantees that are backed by global leader Lloyd's of London. Fortis offers a comprehensive range of roof performance management programs that provide financial security, extend the life of our customers' roofs, and make a significant impact on ROI. Fortis is currently improving performance and increasing ROI for customers at more than 4,800 locations, with more than 140 million square feet protected, including many Fortune 500 companies that have turned to Fortis to save money, gain financial certainty, and extend the life of their existing roofs. Fortis has helped customers save more than $520 million in capital roof replacement costs for an average ROI of over 250%. To learn more, visit fortis.us.com. Fortis, roof performance and financial certainty guaranteed. Final segment here of episode 29 of ITG as we put a bow on this WVU Oklahoma State preview. Jed, a little tail of the tape here. I think we're going to save the graphics for Twitter once again here. We'll direct everybody to our Twitter account, but I know you've got some thoughts too and some things that stand out to you just from maybe a more global perspective.
Yeah, I do. I mean, there's some interesting things you want to take a look at, but we're going to use an opportunity to, it's the last game of the year. So we figured we'd switch some things up in this show and use this opportunity to drive as many people as possible toward the Twitter account, because that's where a lot of activity and we park a lot of our stuff. I mean, normally throughout the course of the season, excuse me, I do put a lot of the tail of the tape info on there. But in this case, the tail of the tape matchup, which pits the West Virginia offense and the statistics against the Oklahoma State defense and vice versa, go ahead and go to the Twitter account, which is going to be at In the Gun Podcast, and check both of those out. But you're going to see some pretty extreme cases of some things in some key statistical areas, some of which we mentioned earlier in the show. But once again, check the Twitter account out, and you'll see the graphics that we built for this feature. And you'll see them there, and you can kind of share them or discuss with friends. And there's some interesting things that we kind of look at. I always like to look at red zone touchdown percentage, what that means, third down percentage, what that means. And so go check that out, and we'll have it parked at the Twitter account at In the Gun Podcast.
Well, what we will show a graphic for here, is always, is the what Vegas thinks we think. We think a score projection. Remember, this is not a prediction. This is just based off the Vegas line and the over-under. What the experts think will play out in this game on Saturday. So we'll pull that up now. Jed, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, as we pull it up and look at the score graphic, West Virginia, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State favored in the ballpark of 8.5 points, over under somewhere in the mid 60s. So our projection, apparently Vegas, a numbers indicated score will be something like 37-28 Oklahoma State, somewhere in that ballpark.
Well, let's hope the Mountaineers can shock the conference here and pull the upset, get a win over the state of Oklahoma for this year, something that we haven't done since joining the Big 12, beat both the Sooners and the Cowpokes in the same season. Yeah, it's a tall task without a doubt, tough place to win.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see if the Mountaineers can at least finish this season with a better taste in their mouths than we've certainly had down the stretch here. Thanks once again to our friends at BetOnline for presenting this episode, being one of our presenting sponsors here, as Jed shows his Mike Gundy picture again.
Look at Mike Gundy's mullet.
Folks, for my money, the best time to be a sports fan is Thanksgiving Thursday to that Sunday. You've got huge college football games, big NFL games. The World Cup's going on right now as well. Big college basketball games, NHL, NBA. Literally anything you could want to bet on right now besides baseball is going on. So betonline.ag if you're looking to get a little juice on the action over the holiday weekend. And also, if you're looking to get Christmas gifts for your loved ones and, really be the favorite son or daughter, the favorite aunt and uncle, the favorite parent, you got to get them some ITG merch. So just go to itgfootball.com. We will have a BOGO sale on Black Friday. You see that hat that Owen's wearing right now? You buy one, you get one for free. Hats, polos, hoodies, T-shirts, the whole 9 yards. It's at itgfootball.com, and it is BOGO on Friday, all thanks in part to our friends at High Street Print Shop.
Free
gentlemen,
shipping, $40 or more on the website there. So yeah, so the deal keeps getting sweeter, guys. Yeah,
for the Mountaineer fan in your life, you can cross them off the list early for your holiday shopping and just get that done on Black Friday at itgfootball.com. Folks, it's a big gathering weekend, biggest travel week of the year, right? A lot of you going to be either traveling to see family or hosting family at your own place. The one thing that we ask of you is to be an ear and tell an ear about your new favorite WV football podcast. Listen, grab your aunt's cell phone, grab your cousin's cell phone, go to their podcast app and subscribe to In the Gun. All right. Leave a nice 5-star review as well, too. And you'll be doing them a huge favor in the process, as they'll get our content delivered directly to their phone every single week. Gentlemen, been a lot of fun. Don't want to sound corny, but I've been thankful to do this podcast with you guys this season and ongoing here. And I hope you guys are able to enjoy some Thanksgiving, and you too, Jed, before you got to get on a plane on Friday. But happy Thanksgiving, fellas.
Happy Thanksgiving. Hit that mac and cheese, Wes.
Wes,
I'm going to send so many.
Thanksgiving.
I'm going to send many slutty mac and cheese pictures to Sean on here.
Hey, it truly has been a pleasure being able to connect with a brother, and Wes, meet a new brother in the making. I look forward to the off season and the shenanigans we will get into. And as always, not saying that this year is over yet, but always looking ahead. Looking forward to see what trades, what deadlines we match and make up this off season. And it is fun to get back into talking about Mountaineer football.
To that end,
No
Thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up. We will do an Oklahoma State recap, next week. And then we will keep you posted, because there's going to be a lot of goings on, portal news across the fruited plain, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, we got a National Signing Day show that I'll be part of with Caridi on the 21st. We'll be having some recruiting content after that, but we'll have some bowl talk. There's plenty to talk about throughout the course
college
of
football playoffs. Like I said, I'm going to be at the Combine for a week in February, so hopefully we'll have some cool, unique content for you there. So yeah, certainly, while WVU season is coming to an end, we're still going to be doing our part here on ITG, and we hope you guys will all stay with us along the ride of the off season as we roll forward here.
It's been fun,
plenty,
guys. This is
plenty of good stuff.
We've come a long way since the blue lot in front of Rubio, and haven't we?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. And like I said, look forward to seeing as much up-to-date Mountaineer content as you can. You know, your boys, Wes and Jed, will be bringing it as long as the Runaway Beer Truck is still in the active phase of chugging beers.
Yeah,
I'll be right there with you, brother.
How many did we end up with? How many did you kill, Eric, during?
It was I think it was
7
5 shotties, and I did about 7 or 8 ounces of Crown Apple.
Some Crown Royal in there too.
So,
I got coffee. Okay.
Yes. If you couldn't tell, my eyes are a little heavy right now, and I'm feeling sleepy as for it is.
And trust us, but we and our viewers have seen you sleepier.
If you know, you know. And with that, we bid you adieu. 29 episodes in the books, plenty more to come. Enjoy the weekend. Safe travels if you're out there commuting around and going to visit family or anything. And we'll be back next week to recap the finale against the Cowboys. Take care, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. You've been in the gun.
Worked all week on my song, and I hope you'll be entertained and a little moved. Love to eat turkey. Love to eat turkey. Love to eat turkey, 'cause it's good. Love to eat the turkey like a good boy should, 'cause it's turkey to eat so good. A turkey for me, turkey for you. Let's eat turkey in a big brown shoe. Love to eat the turkey at the table. I once saw a movie with Betty Grable. Eat that turkey all night long. 50 million Elvis fans can't be wrong. Turkey, turkey dee, turkey, turkey dap. I eat the turkey and I take a nap. Thanksgiving is a special night. Jimmy Walker used to say,